Hello, my name is Michael Garrick, and this is Popping Culture Movie Reviews. My guest today is a voice actor and comedian, William Woody. Thank you so much for coming on to the movie review.
Thank you for having me.
The movie that we'll be reviewing is Suicide Squad. Woody chose the movie. Any special reason why?
Well, there is the sequel coming out sooner or later, and I remember looking at this one before and thinking there was a fair amount I had to say about it then, back in, my goodness, half a decade ago when it came out, and figured it would be something I wasn't intimidated about talking about today. So that would be why I went with it. It's I really don't envy the writer director David Ayer. He has the unenviable task of making a movie that centers around a group of B-list Batman villains who are assembled in the event that a C-list Batman villain ever comes along and creates a threat for them. It's really not a great starting premise or an easy thing to write about. I don't suppose. And I don't think I recognized this. When I was a kid watching Batman the Animated Series or whatnot, I don't think Harley Quinn's backstory really fits what she does. Seeing her prance around hitting people with a baseball bat, I'm like, this character has a doctorate in psychiatry. She shouldn't be physically messing with people's heads. I hope. I guess the simple thing to do if DC ever decides to streamline things with her is just simplify her, make her a physician's assistant or something, or or elevate her tactics to something that an evil psychiatrist might actually do. Because as I was looking at it last night and today, the only thing she ever does even hints that she might be a psychiatrist is Will Smith says something to her, and then she's like, textbook sociopath. I know that because I'm a psychiatrist. I think the big problem that movie has is that it's a huge show don't tell problem. Everything that they want to establish is assumed about the characters rather than being explored. They put the Joker, the one A-list Batman villain, in there as kind of a, to sell ticket tactic, and then he's on screen for maybe 4 minutes of the movie. And the first scene we have with him, Harley Quinn gives him a stuffed animal, which that's like the very first act between them, but we don't have any idea, like, why would he want that? What about that animal? What would it, why would that mean anything to him? It's a sort of, because giving a stuffed animal to your romantic partner is a nice thing to do. And then he's like, hey, get me a machine gun. Oh, it's, we don't follow, we basically needed a movie of a trajectory of, like, why does Harley Quinn go from treating the Joker to enabling him, that we just don't see in the 3.5, 4 minutes of screen time the character has. And I think the Joker may just be more interesting to watch when he's a bachelor, because this movie basically makes him, and he's too predictable. He's just kind of a bulldog that's going to help Harley Quinn or get her out of danger, and he's sort of an evil Romeo, which really doesn't measure up to any of the stuff Heath Ledger was given to do with the character.
Yeah. So after watching this movie, I've seen it 4 times. This movie is exactly what I thought Guardians of the Galaxy would be. It seems like DC knows, like you stated, these characters that nobody really cares about. Nobody truly knows. Out of majority of them, nobody really knows of like deep comic book fans. And unlike Marvel, which was like, no, let's make sure you care about every character. Let's make sure that we have a good plot and a reason why they come together. Let's end this. Make sure that they're important when it comes to this movie. It's just like we just got to push to the end. Like we just got to push to the end. We got like three big stars in it, and let's make sure they say some dumb stuff so we can become memes.
Right. I think a good instance of sort of contrast between Marvel and DC would be, or how they've handled it cinematically would be the Deadshot's daughter versus Iron Man's daughter. Um, with Tony Stark, and I think Morgan Stark doesn't have, she probably only has about 4 minutes in time in Endgame. But during they really took time to write out good little banter between Robert Downey Jr. and the Morgan Stark actress name, or whatever her name is. Their interaction just was very had a lot of life to it, and the Russo brothers know that "I love you" doesn't mean anything anymore because it's just such a generic thing that a person says to one another, that on stage or on screen you've got to add something to give it specificity to it to make it meaningful. So they gave you the "I love you" 3000 to change it to make it more specific to those characters, where all Deadshot's daughter does is say she loves him, and that's really, it doesn't, it's generic. We don't have an entry point to see her as a specific person, except just that, oh, we're told this is his daughter and he's supposed to care about her, and without actually giving us any kind of a relational reason for them to be together. I think
Hey, buddy, you want to hear my Will Smith impersonation?
desperately.
Hey, man, what are we? Some movie reviewers?
Spot on.
Thanks, buddy. I just I just can't get that stuck out my head. Like somebody wrote that. Like, what are we? Suicide Squad? Like it's like it's Will Smith, so it's like, all right, it's Will Smith. But even when I heard it, I was just like, nah, he's not that smooth. No, that nobody's that smooth for that dialogue.
Right. It's sort of, it's one of those terrible check boxes that a movie has to make when it's based on superheroes. If that's the name that's on the front of the comic book, then man, we've got to mention that a line of dialogue somewhere in the movie, and it's just hard to, the best actor on earth couldn't really sell that. And yeah, I don't fault any of the cast. I think they all did the best they could. I think the material is just so just sloppily put together that it wouldn't be flattering on any performer. I also get frustrated when a movie presents an argument like Rick Flag, Joel Kinnaman's character, makes, that I could get a team of crack specialists together and they could accomplish what you want the Suicide Squad to do. And then the movie doesn't really refute that. Harley Quinn hits people with a baseball bat. Captain Boomerang's power is so useless that most of his time spent on the screen, he's just drinking energy drinks. Will Smith can hit somebody at 400 yards or whatnot. But you don't need that. You could just have special forces people, and they would probably gain better results than the Suicide Squad gets. The climax of the movie requires one bomb to be placed under the Enchantress's guardian, and then another bomb be shot inside of her little whirlwind death machine gizmo. This whole movie's problem could have been solved by the use of one slightly larger bomb that hits everything. There's no need for the team. There's no need for really any of the answers. They're just there because people like Harley Quinn and the Joker. Um, I think the moment where the movie really falls apart for me, though, is there's a point where Deadshot is supposed to shoot Harley Quinn, and he deliberately misses because over the over the 2 hours that they've hung out together, the power of friendship has prevailed, or something like that. And so he deliberately misses, and that would that would work as a moment if it had a little more time for them to develop chemistry. There's an instance where she says, "You're my friend," which okay, or doesn't really land, but is there. But the reason that particular moment does not make any sense to me is that the moment immediately preceding it, there's this business with everybody in the Suicide Squad having neck bombs implanted. There's a character introduced that I'd never heard of with the lamest skill set I've ever heard of, who is introduced specifically and only there in the movie, so you know that the neck bombs are real. That's the only reason he's in there, to get his head blown off and then not be in the movie anymore. The Joker has disabled Harley Quinn's neck bomb, and so she is going to get on the Joker's helicopter. Amanda Waller yells at Rick Flag, blow her head off. And so he goes on his little iPad and he tries to blow her head up, but it doesn't work. And there, you can see it in one shot. Margot Robbie is walking behind Joel Kinnaman, maybe 14 feet away at a leisurely pace. And Rick Flag turns to Amanda Waller with both of his hands literally holding an assault rifle. And he tells her, "I can't do it because her neck bomb doesn't work." He could just turn around and put a cap in her very easily, but he can't do that because he's immortal, because she's the main character of this movie. I don't know how a script gets that contrived, or how a moment that bad makes it into a movie without somebody saying this does not work. You need to change this somehow, because you're making your soldier look absolutely incompetent, and you're just trying to force this moment that really just needs another revision, but winds up making it into the movie and just making it really stupid.
Yeah, like this is a popcorn flick. Like this is, I saw this the way I watch Godzilla movies. It's like, get me to the killing, get me to the action. We don't need this talking. Like this talking is literally here, so you have an hour and 30 minutes. There is nothing, there's no filler. This is just straight up. You need to be what you need to be. This I rank the Fast and the Furious movies over this movie because of that reason. Like at least is popcorn fun. This one is just like, show me the clips on YouTube and we can go on. When it comes to Amanda Wilder, we talked about that character. I'm a big fan of Viola Davis. She's a great actress. Um, you ever had those movies where you're like, this actress or actor is so good in this film, but the character can be played by anybody? I truly feel like anybody could have played her part and would have did uh not as good, but like similar. Like her she was the one part of this movie where I was like, well, anybody could have been here.
Right. Well, she's not a very well defined character. She just kind of occupies this weird space in the government where she's able to basically do whatever she wants with absolute impunity. She can get you out of jail. She can kill an FBI agent. She can do whatever and get away with it. But she's a very one note character. Really, all she can do is threaten you or kill you, and that's all she does. It's I can't imagine that she's a very enjoyable character to write or play, just because that's really she. It doesn't give her. I think she would be better suited as almost a Lex Luthor type, where she's got just more tactics at her disposal, but all she can really do is you just threaten you or act out on the threat that she's made, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
It's I was thinking there's the you mentioned Godzilla. Like I remember there was a it seems like in the '90s there were a lot of these characters that were just kind of douchebags just for the purpose of they're written to be very broad and jerky to the main characters, but through the whole movie they're going to get a comeuppance later, and we can't wait for that to happen. And Amanda Waller is kind of like that, but we never see her get the comeuppance. So it's just some kind of she's not very satisfying to watch because she's a jerk and she gets away with it forever.
Yeah, exactly. Um, all right, man. What do you think about the soundtrack?
I feel like largely it was used as a shortcut to characterization. Um, and when that starts happening, I generally get annoyed. I don't have anything against any of the song choices they use, but it felt like they were I don't know a lot of the score felt like the song choices were just they felt like they were there to they felt like they were band-aids on bullet wounds that we don't really have a lot going on in the script, but we need Harley Quinn to appear like a strong independent woman, so let's play You Don't Own Me over her introductory scene. um what did you think about the soundtrack?
Uh, Pretty much the same. It was just like this is good music. Even when it came to the scenes, uh, just whatever theme music they went for each like scene, action, whatever, felt like it was placed well. Just not in a good movie. I think they really didn't make it too poppy. They didn't make it too metal, but I think that was really one of the highlights of the movie. They did balance that well. How'd you feel about the pacing?
um the intro was relatively slow. I thought I didn't really love the framing device of the first act. Amanda Waller sitting at this dinner table with two military bigwigs or whatever they were, and kind of talking through uh, the talking through the team. Um, and in terms of action to dialogue, I don't recall having any particular problems with the way it was paced, but it had the internal logic of the picture had so checked out by any point that it was really hard for me to care about what I was watching at any time. There was sort of an interesting sequence toward the end when the Enchantress starts. She tries to tempt all of the main people with by offering to give them whatever they wanted if only they'd do her will instead of killing her or whatever. That I felt like that was very interesting, but it was kind of too little too late. That would have been much more compelling had that element been introduced earlier. But as it stood, as late as it was put in, it felt more like an afterthought than something to kind of sink my teeth into.
Nice. Okay, man. I, when it came to Enchantress, did you laugh like when she was moving? Because every time she was moving, like she was like doing like this weird dance, and I just couldn't stop laughing. Like every time she's on the scene and she's just moving, I just laughed the whole time. I was just like, why? What? Like who chose her to? Who chose this? Like this is hilarious.
Well, as weird as ever, or as kind of mismatched as everything else in the movie was, she, as I remember, was my favorite part because you know, as goofy as she was, like the actress really was just so hammy and chewing the scenery about it. Like, I don't know that I laughed, but I was certainly smiling. Like this girl was having the time of her life doing this weird, uh, character, and I remember a lot of people call it like thinking she was the weak point, but and I mean we're talking about a movie that's basically made out of weak points, but she was kind of a shining light in the dark for me because it's, at least there was something unique, and she was just going for it, as odd as it was. But yeah, I have no idea who made the choice for her power to kind of contort her in the way that she was doing that. But no, I thought she was pretty fun in and of herself.
Yeah, doing the worm. Um, you spoke about the ending. Do you believe they could have had a better ending? Like I think that's like out of everything I saw, I was like that's the only way they could end it.
Uh, by ending, do we mean the Joker freeing Harley Quinn, or do you mean the defeating Enchantress part?
Both actually, both.
Um, well, so Joker, just everything with him and Harley Quinn felt just paper thin. I really didn't have any rooting interest. It almost seemed like the movie was banking on uh, banking on the viewers to have done their homework and to have kind of filled in for themselves. Okay, this is great romance between these two, rebels without causes. Occasionally I'll hear that a Harry Potter movie or a Lord of the Rings part. There's something in these movies that will not make sense to you if you have not read the books. And I felt like Joker and Harley Quinn, their whole romance, just it took far too many shortcuts for me to have any real rooting interest in anything that was going on between the two of them. As for the fight with Enchantress, yeah, I mean, I think it made uh, as much sense as it could for what it was. Again, I think if they had just thrown a bigger bomb that would have blown everything up, well, then they kill Rick Flag's girlfriend, but I don't feel like Amanda Waller would have had a problem with that. Um, so the movie had so many logic gaps by the time it got to the climax, which I felt was not really very well lit for one thing. Like it was hard for me to see what was going on when they were fighting each other. One other thought I had as an aside: Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son. He's a small part in this movie. Uh, I really think he should be in the running to be the new Wolverine because he looks spot on the way that guy was drawn in the comics to me. He grows his mutton chops out and does weird spiked hair thing. I think he's got it. Especially if he can do the kind of gravelly, whisper talk voice as well as his dad did.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be bad. Like if, like I say, and he's tall, but Hugh Jackman's tall, and he pulled it off. So, he definitely. I tell you, bro, that's one casting that is so many people up for the running. That it's just it's weird because you don't want to go too young, you don't want to go too old with the character, and it's just I'm excited to see who they pick for that. That's gonna be that's one that people not everybody's gonna love, but once we see it on screen, that's when you'll know whether they made the right decision or not.
Right. It'll probably have the same reaction that any casting to Batman gets when everybody's up in arms and they're like, oh, that makes now once they actually see him do it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
But you
whoever
can't
they go
blame,
with.
but you can't blame people for Michael Keaton though, because like literally, Mr. Mom came out right before, and it was just like, whoa, this is the guy. Uh,
Right. I listened to Bryan Cranston's memoirs, and he had a apparently there was the producers of Breaking Bad had some fear about him, but Vince Gilligan had worked with him before on an X Files episode, and they're like, and yeah, he's done Malcolm in the Middle, but he's an actor. It's his job to fit whatever role he goes for. Um, but anyway, we're digressing from Suicide Squad a bit. What did you
bro,
think of the ending?
bro, when it came to Bryan Cranston, my friend, because I never got in Breaking Bad till the show was over, and I never got to tell my friends. I was like, I'm probably butchering the name, but when I saw him, I was like, Sodar,
Oh,
uh, Power
Zordon?
Rangers. Yeah, Sordon. I was like, Sordon, what is Sordon doing? Selling drugs. What is going on? Like, why is but yeah, that is a great
Okay, so
show.
you saw him as Zordon before you saw him as Walter White. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but like I could once I heard the voice, like you see a little bit of the face, but like once I heard the voice, I was like, oh no, Sordon and went to selling drugs. All right. Um yeah, man, when I the ending was it was one of those things where I just felt like they should have just made a Batman movie. They put a Batman cameo in, they put the Joker in, they put Harley Quinn. They didn't feel I guess they didn't feel safe for her being without those two characters. So it just all over. I was just like, this is not good at all. And
Yeah,
it
and
just
Killer Croc was really wasted in that. Like, I think he could. It would be a lower. Like I could see it being a lower budget Batman movie, but like when he was in the animated series I grew up watching, whenever he was the main bad guy, and you were scared for Batman's life, and like I think they could make a very interesting detective movie about him being a bad guy. Where in this movie, I think he was kind of just reduced to a glorified gimmick.
yeah.
Um, the makeup was cool, but the character was not really given anything particularly interesting to do.
And when you talk about the Batman animated series, it was funny. My favorite Killer Croc episode is not even Killer Croc. I almost got away with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where Batman's pretending to be him.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Spoiler alert,
funny.
guys. I'm so sorry for that. If you guys have not seen that episode, I am so sorry. Still watch it, but that's like my favorite episode from the series. But when it comes to Suicide Squad, 1 through 10, what do you give it?
Oh, 3, 5, 4, somewhere around there.
Okay, nice.
What about you?
I would give it a solid 4.
Okay.
Just for the set pieces and popcorn flick. Definitely a movie that if you put on, you will be like you'll fast forward to the parts you like. Uh, uh, do you believe that this movie will become a part of pop culture?
I suppose that would depend on how you define pop culture. I mean, it's certainly been a good launching off point for Margot Robbie, and she's done uh, her third movie with that character is about to come out. Um, I guess how do you define pop culture would be my question before I can answer that question.
Like I said, pop culture is all about pop culture and people that love it. Just truly the definition of pop culture. That's really it, just popular culture.
Okay, sure.
Like
Uh,
I don't want to go too deep on an answer. It's just really just popular culture. I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry if it didn't.
it's a bit circular of an answer, but that's fine. I can. So I think it's sure. I'd say it's part of pop culture, and it made a large portion of our culture saw it. It obviously made enough that it's justified a sequel and spin-offs and all that. So I'd say so. What do you think?
Without doubt, it's definitely influenced pop culture. I mean, not too many people actually knew who Killer Croc was. That I figured out. Yeah, like and those characters, I think anything Batman touches is automatically going to touch pop culture. Anything the Joker touches is going to touch pop culture, and Harley Quinn definitely has definitely moved up in pop culture. It's been so many Harley Quinn costumes and Halloween. It's blowing my mind. Like some of them, I was just like, these girls should not be wearing this, and it's
Well,
mind blowing.
I did I did like that the movie gave us a moment to see Margot Robbie in the original kind of playing card black and red costume, just for a moment to let us know, yeah, that would be a terrible idea to have her prance around in this the whole movie. It just doesn't work at all as something for a human to wear.
Yeah, and they were quick with it. They at least that's one thing they knew. Like, yeah, let's we this is for the fans. They can pause it later. uh, yeah. Well, man, Is there anything else you would like to say about this movie?
I think we've covered about all I have about it.
Cool, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the movie review. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans? And please tell them where they can follow you.
Ah, yes, my glorious fan base. So on Instagram, I'm my fitness journey almost hot can be found under that name, and William Woody on YouTube. I'm sure you can find me.
Nice, nice. Well, guys, like I said, if William Woody's in your town, definitely go check him out. Hilarious comedian. Thank you again for coming on the show, man. Thank you guys for listening and have an amazing day.